I'm unmuting and videoing. And recording. Here we go.
I will call this meeting to order. Please join me in pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, folks, for being here tonight. Not that you guys have a choice. Any adjustments to the agenda? I do have one. I would like to have a discussion about Marlboro Fire Engine 5, which is also known as Firefly, which is also known as the Jeep.
10-5?
Firefly is the Jeep. Firefly is the command vehicle. Oh,
It was Firefly back in the day.
Oh,
Before-
okay.
Yeah, that'd be 10.5.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything to adjust?
No, sir. Nope.
All in favor of that adjustment? Opposed? Thing?
You need a motion?
Oh, yeah, I guess I should have. Motion for that?
I'll make a motion. Second, no, he wins.
Keep me on my toes. All in favor? Aye. Okay, next we have a presentation from the Waldeboro Lions Club.
It's not me, I know nothing.
Oh,
So I don't know what they want to present.
They were going to present a check. They might be running late.
Okay,
okay. We'll move on.
thank you, Julie.
If they come in, we'll definitely take a check. We need to have a public hearing. Code enforcement fee increases. Get a motion to open up public hearing,
So moved. Second.
favor of the public hearing. Opposed? Public hearing, public comment. Go ahead, Dave. You want to brief it first?
No, I was just, I gave you the list of items and stuff like that. So I didn't know if there were any other questions now that you've had time to take a look at it or anything else.
Well, it was nice that you compared our fees with the surrounding towns. That was very helpful.
Yes.
It puts it
Yeah, we-
actually in the low end of the actually.
Yeah, and what I did was just so everybody knows, we're trying to create apples to apples comparison. So we weren't using non-MOBEC communities. So
What?
MOBEC, so building codes.
Okay,
So any community that's 4,000 or greater has to, has to inspect to all the building codes, stuff like that. Smaller communities, unless they physically adopt the building codes, do not have to. So there's a major difference between the two communities as far as building permits, the work that goes into it and everything else. So for me, I wanted to make sure that we were comparing, like and the same. So those are just MOBEC communities.
Any other questions regarding this? Public comments about the increases? Probably not.
Anybody want it?
Motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
The only thing that I would ask is just when do you want to implement this? So on what date? That would be it.
I mean, what's the soonest permissible date? Fiscal year?
We can do,
Our-
I could do as soon as April 1st. It's totally up to the board. I just need time in order to update my software, which would take me maybe a day. That's all.
Don't matter, no.
Well, I would personally, I would like to see, make it July 1st, so it's our fiscal year.
It's clean. That's what I was thinking.
That way there's no confusion.
Yep.
Down the road.
Perfect.
I make that motion.
second,
This is a motion to.
We're closing
Get it
public
closed.
Gotta close the
Oh,
hearing
sorry.
first.
Sorry.
Motion to close the hearing.
So, yeah, so moved.
Second, Mike,
second,
all in favor of closing the hearing?
Getting too far ahead of me.
Now we can make a motion on the
Oh, it's not me.
On the code enforcement fee increases.
I make that motion. And effective July 1st.
Motion made and second to take the effective July 1st. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Oh, can I make
Yep.
a discussion? You really want to get out of here quick.
You want to discuss?
No, I don't want to discuss. I just want to point out that, historically, we give a lot of chances and there's a lot of opportunity to avoid fees and we are way below what other towns are for these fees and we ought to, at least bring them up a bit. That's all. Wanted to add. We have a code enforcement officer that works with people to make sure that they're
Right.
falling into categories that make them have their fees be. reasonable.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Sorry.
Opposed? No.
Incremental.
Right.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Citizen comments. Citizen comments, hearing none. Select board comment.
I got nothing.
Nothing here. Same here.
Nothing.
One thing I have is, we've got our budget meeting, joint budget meeting, coming up on Thursday. And everyone has probably seen the email that the school board members will be here. We're gonna talk about a presentation. If you haven't seen it, I'm gonna show it again. That way folks that haven't seen it can see it on Thursday evening, talking about the bond, the high school, situation at the high school. I think it's great that they're gonna come and answer questions and maybe not give us some very details. I was actually, before the meeting here, I was home watching last night's meeting.
Mhm.
And they're still kind of work out some details on their operating budget. And I'm sure that they're gonna talk a little bit about that on Thursday as well. They will be here.
You've done some really great work on that relationship. Just want to make sure that's on the record. Going to meetings, getting people talking. You know, a couple of years ago, it felt at least to be a little adversarial and you specifically have done a lot with that interaction. Thank you for doing that.
Well, I got a phone call from the chair I was in Florida this weekend for a funeral. I got a phone call from the chair of the school board on Sunday, and we had that discussion about the importance of us communicating with each other, so,
Yeah, that's Danny Jackson, right?
yes.
Yeah, he returns calls, he returns emails. Nice guy.
All I have.
Okay.
Town manager?
I just have a couple of little items that I would like to put on for the next couple, just to give you so that we can talk about them in the future. I'm really excited about potentially getting some cordless microphones for us.
Thanks.
I thought that would be nice, and especially when we're having our budget committee, this, I call it the octopus, it would do away with the octopus. I sent something to Ruben since he is our guru of all things AV related and computer related. It's a system that we already have, so it could be integrated, so you'll probably be seeing, not maybe this next meeting, but the meeting after, a proposal for that, because I think it would help the people at home hear better and the people in the room hear better. And the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, it was in my report, was looking at codification of our ordinances. Since we're about to change our land use ordinance, it's about $12,000 to $15,000, but we could spread it out over 3 fiscal years. Might be the time to start doing it, and it offers some great things. It gives you a legal review for Maine, not for all over the country, but whatever Maine law is, they review it. The whole process takes about 18 months. It's very collaborative. It would look at all our ordinances and our policies. And so right now, as Kate and the planning board are going through the land use ordinance, there might be things where you talk about it here and you talk about it there and they conflict, they pick all that up. I've been through it probably 20 times in my career. I think it's one of the best things a town can do. And then it's a searchable database. It's much easier for people to search it. I was gonna see, and I'll get you a quote, actual quote on it. But if we could use some money this year, some money next year, and then the following year, that might be a really great way to pay for it. And you get the free, well, not the free, but you get the legal review. And then it's in an electronic document and it's so much easier to update, so. And I'll also give you some websites that have some of the vendors that do it. And that's really all I had other than to say, it snowed and we might get more tomorrow. And everybody's tired of it and we would like it to be warm, so. That's what I got.
That seems like a best practice. Is that what towns should be doing generally? On the review of the codes
The
and all
review
that?
of the codes, it can get pricey,
Yeah.
but when you look at it, if you have your own attorney do it, it's also pricey.
Yeah.
You know, so it's pricey however you want to do it, but I just think we're at that point where we have so much now. Even our policies are so much that it really should have somebody who doesn't deal with it every day, because Mark knows the ins and outs of it, but does a layman know? And that's what I like. It makes it easy to understand. So you weren't here because you took Bob's seat, but sometimes Bob would use this really long word that I'd have to look up in an ordinance because
Yep.
I didn't know what it meant.
Yep.
Even my 6 years of Latin didn't help me sometimes. So it just makes it so people can understand something. And it makes it a little bit easier to read for the average person who doesn't know government speak.
Right, and I didn't mean that as any criticism of the cost. I think
No,
for the time we spend decoding that, your time or Mark's time or anyone on staff that's spending their paid time on that, I bet it comes out to more than that over, say, even 5 years.
and honestly, it's just for the ease of the people who might have a simple question
Mhm.
and they get so bogged down in the minutia of trying to figure it out. It should be easy for people to understand.
So people to move
If
here
I
and start a
could change
business.
one thing about government, it would be allowing the people to understand our laws, our ordinances and our policies easier than what we make it. And I'm guilty of that too, so it's,
That's a complex system.
I know government speak, the
Yeah.
average person doesn't want
Right.
to.
Just message.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
I got
That's all I got. I'm good.
that. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second,
Discussion? All in favor? 5-0. New business, 10.1, the village traffic calming plan.
Do you want to come up? Are you good with me or? It's here. This is our village plan. I can put it up if you want to see it up on the big screen. I'm sure we'll have another meeting about it. This is the speed tables, the raised crosswalks and the enhanced crosswalks. So this is the plan. We have it here at the town office. I'm going to put it up on the website tonight. We were really excited. We sat, Kate, Will, and I sat down with our engineer. It even addresses drainage on Jefferson Street. So this is the preliminary plan. It's been sent up to DOT. I know that Jeremy, our engineer, has been working with the utility district and Maine Water and the DOT to make this final. And the intent is that we get it out to bid soon for construction in the fall after the traffic leaves. Because there is going to be, we're going to work it so that only one lane of 220 South is closed at a time. Everything else we can pretty much deal with. But there will be a point in time where we're going to have to close one lane. There's workarounds for the rest of it, but the locations are in there. So there's elevated crosswalks that kind of serve as a speed table. There's speed tables, and then there's enhanced crosswalks that have better signage on the pavement. So it's gonna be good. And the crossing signs that we will have are the push button kind, so they're not gonna be flashing all the time. So you're gonna push a button and walk across. That was one of the things that came up in our downtown meeting was Well, we don't want to see a bunch of flashing lights all night. It's only gonna be when somebody crosses. the
Like we have
street.
down here.
Yes. And typically they're better shaded. They have the cover over them, so, we are really excited, and I was really impressed. Jeremy, did a great job of, trying to, do it in a manner that was fiscally responsible, to the point where Steve even suggested that the signage, we were talking about signage, he's like, signage is one of the largest costs we're gonna have, believe it or not, for this project. And I brought up the fact that we piggybacked with the state purchasing for the speed sign, so, we're hopefully gonna work with the state to go off of their bid package for all of their types of signs. And there are some things that Public Works can do to assist with this. Will was, on board, and Will and Jeremy have spent a lot of time choosing the locations, and sometimes you're gonna think, oh, that location might be better there, but there's normally a reason why it can't be. Either there's a pole in the way, or they had to move something where, okay, we want this crosswalk to hit here, but do you want a crosswalk with a speed table that close? So some of it was just spacing. So what you see is the best of the best of all worlds. And the drainage, like I said, if we can fix the drainage on Jefferson Street in this grant, this is a good thing. It's not gonna totally fix it, but it's gonna help it. It's not going to hurt it. And the Maine DOT does not have any plans to be ripping up that road. And it also adds a little piece of sidewalk that will connect Mill Street, right on that property on the end of Mill so if you're coming towards Jefferson Street on Mill, it's the property to the right, there's kind of like everybody cuts through that person's yard. There'll be now a little piece of a sidewalk so that you can now cross at the crosswalk there safer. And everything will be handicapped accessible. Did I miss anything, Kate?
I think that covers it.
So I'll post that.
Town share of the financing?
What was that?
What is the town share of the financing?
$210,000, I believe, out of a 400 and some odd $1,000. Yep, and that's already been budgeted. We budgeted that last year, if you'll recall. We budgeted 170 because we'd already saved 50. So last year we budgeted. So it's not, you're not gonna see that. We've already budgeted. We have it waiting to be utilized. We were just waiting for this. So.
Been talking about this for a minute. This is great.
I can't tell you how happy I was. This is, and the people on Jefferson Street, and I'm sure Friendship and Maine, because that's the area where we get the most complaints about speed. I think they'll be really excited. Now, there's gonna be people who don't like the locations of stuff, and that's just gonna happen.
You're gonna have that.
You're gonna have that no matter what, but I think it'll make it a safer area. And it preserved as much parking as possible.
Any other questions? 10.2, priority list. Do you want to handle this one? Go down line by line, or?
We can go down line by line, or I didn't know if any, and then we can make your additions at the end. So the first one would be, it's that time of year where you have to complete an evaluation at the town manager, and I always put that as current because it happens every single year, so that's just something we do. Prioritization of fixing dangerous intersections and work with the DOT input where necessary. We've completed Route 220 in Old Augusta, Route 235 in Manktown. Kaler's Corner is not ours, but it is the state, and that is slated for 2027. So I left it as completed / ongoing. What I will do is remove the ones that are completed.
2028,
On the latest plan, it says 2027.
okay,
So I'm going with 20. I was being
I
optimistic.
like it. I just
Um,
had a different memory.
yeah, I did too, and then I saw it on the work
Okay,
plan.
perfect.
Budget is always ongoing, but we're about to complete it. So we completed it last year. It's still ongoing. We did do the review of town office positions and job titles, descriptions and needs. That was completed. We can always leave that on as a long-term goal to re-up it if you want to put a year on that, but that has been, it's not, we do it every year, but the true review of that was done last year and completed. Town manager, CEO and select board derelict properties, that I would say would be ongoing. And that can be anything that we consider a dangerous building or some of the code violations that you keep being brought to you by our code enforcement officer. Select board and committees, rolling committee reports to the select board, that's ongoing. 80 Gray VOA, the transfer is completed, but the building is ongoing.
Is that something that we need to still have on here?
Well, I think you're always interested in the building part of it, the actual construction, but it's not. I
think it needs to be on there only because if
Keep it on
they
the
don't take some action by a certain date, we have the option to.
mhm.
True.
So I can
replace
put the date
them,
there.
Right,
Yeah.
whatever that
I'll
date
put that
is,
date
that
there.
we can
That would keep.
move on, that keeps us looking at it.
So the next is town manager capital budget for departments. I didn't know how you wanted to handle that because I think we've got a really good handle. This was put on back when I arrived in 2017. Is that now just part of the budget process or is it separate?
Just part of the budget.
Yeah.
It's part of
Yeah,
the budget.
it's represented pretty well.
Did we go out, what, 10 years or 20 years?
10.
10. I couldn't remember.
But
She
now
left
I
her
have,
crystal
I
ball.
have a crystal ball thanks to Becky here, so I could potentially do 20 now. So this was one that was added a couple years ago, which was police enforcement of speeding. Again, I don't know, I mean, they run, you can tell by the numbers that they gave for the year end, they are doing enforcement. It's, I don't know how much of a difference it's making in speeding, but I don't know if you want to keep that on there.
Well, traffic calming program, plans can help that too.
Review of health insurance, we do that every year. I don't know if you want to keep it on there, or if you just know that's part of the budget process.
Budget.
Okay. Capital investment and bonding, again, that's part of the budget process. I don't know if you want to keep that going, but you see our capital investment manager every year. And it's bonding as needed. The town manager select board, this is a solid waste recycling ordinance transportation. I think we've completed that. I don't know how you feel about taking it off of there. We did review solid waste, we did review the recycling, and we did review the transportation. So that's really up to you. I don't know.
Well, I think that's still ongoing, isn't it?
Yeah, how about,
Yeah, I think
we
that's,
gotta see if we can get something from the Lincoln County, see what they're doing with that recycling.
With the east,
Yeah.
with the, yeah,
The
the
Credits.
credits, yes.
yeah, because I don't think we've actually
Okay, so
thrown
you want to
everything
see
out the
the
window. have we?
credits and transportation maybe could stay?
Yeah, 'cause I don't think we've thrown everything out the window with the transportation yet, because we haven't got our yard dog, whatever you want to call it.
Right,
Donkey
To-
dog.
Huh?
Donkey dog.
donkey dog.
Okay. But I think we can look at that again as soon as we get something like that in place.
So should I put transportation in credits?
Absolutely.
Composting at the transfer station, we do have composting. I think that's one of John's priorities is to make it more.
Only problem with that is if you go over to Lincoln County Recycling, they've got a lot of equipment over there that has to take care of that compost. Is John gonna want to wind up buying compost, machines for turning it and a tractor to,
That's a
That's-
conversation you need to have
that's
with,
the only issue I think I have with that is he needs an area, they have probably, it's gotta be 100 by 100 area that they do the compost on. And they got machines over there, they got the baggers, and they also have a tractor that has a, some sort of machine behind it that rotates it, tills it up and stuff like that. So we're gonna have a pretty good sized area if he wants to do anything like that. And they have stuff hauled in, pus manure or whatever hauled in as well to mix with any of the organic waste that comes in, like clam shells, crab shells, vegetables from local places that take and turn that into compost. So
Ongoing.
it's
No,
ongoing.
I haven't seen it lately, but the transfer station used to have a drop off for
We do.
They
food
have-
waste.
they have
and
barrels,
Then they
but-
had, you got, if you, if you dropped off food waste, you could get some compost at the transfer
Correct.
Yeah.
station. So what John wants to do is to have a composting facility at the transfer station now.
Yes.
That was his
So,
original plan.
Where was the composting taking place before? Was that over?
That's going
Lincoln
over
County?
Lincoln County Recycling.
They
They pick it
bring
up.
us, we take the waste, they pick up the waste, take it there, and then they bring us back bags.
Okay.
Town manager, EMS chief, this has been on since I started. This is an EMS enterprise fund. And I know enterprise funds
Or
are
taboo.
are a big thing during in the budget committee. Is it something you want to leave on here? I think a big part of this push prior to my arrival was because the communities we were serving may not have been being billed the way that people felt was most fair. I think we've resolved that, so I
Mhm.
don't know if you want to keep this on as an item of discussion or if it is off.
I don't think it needs to be there. I mean, I think we've done a lot of the last 3 years of,
We can always put it back on if you want to in the future.
We got an effective system.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Compared to what we had 3 years ago.
Kudos to Derek.
The next one is opening up the river for alewife harvest and installing a fish counter. So the fish counter we have, but I'm assuming we still want to open up the river for alewives.
At some point, yeah.
This was the assessor and town manager, sale of town-owned property. I think we've completed what we have and unless there's stuff I don't know about.
Was that specific to, well, the
I
stuff
think
that's been uploaded?
it was AD Gray,
Gray,
it was Friendship Street School.
So there's always something potential, but there's not some large incomplete project.
Yeah.
What about the property up here on Depot Street? Where the old water supply was. There's a piece of property there that we own that we've been looking at trying to get rid of.
But the little fishing hole there, are you talking about? Is that,
It's, how do I explain it?
It's behind another piece of property.
Right, but there is a right of way to it. But there used to be an old water
I
supply
mean,
there.
we can go through the whole list again.
I mean, we never looked at it, and I know one of the neighbors was real interested in purchasing it.
Was it? Nah, that was the one on the hill.
No, it's up here on Depot Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that.
I'd love to
It's right
see one.
behind,
Yeah, maybe we can put that
Oh.
on topic sometime to
Okay.
discuss it.
yeah.
I can have
I mean,
Daryl
I
prepare a
know-
list.
I know most of them.
Okay, I can have Daryl, I'll keep it on the list.
I know we had discussed it
So I
before,
will-
it's just fell
I
through the
will put-
cracks.
Could be some revenue there.
I will put some,
It's like 4 or 5 acres.
I will make that ongoing and small properties instead of big ones. Town planning, this is ongoing plan for Worcester parking lot. Kate and I just talked about that today.
Yep.
I think the Lincoln Health YMCA public forum has been completed. We can take that off.
Yep.
I didn't know what to do. I mean, in a way, I feel broadband expansion, connectivity and fiber optic is completed.
I think that's safe. The stuff that's left is gonna be cleanup tasks that will always be present. Our overall goal is met.
Madomic River testing, that's ongoing, and we did just receive a grant to do some more. Community center, I would say that's current, ongoing. The Lincoln Health Medical Arts Building, I think that's completed.
Nice.
Townwide beautification and cleanup. This was something that was put on by a prior select board. I don't know that it was under select board. I don't know if you want to keep it there, if you'd like to assign it, or if you think it's more something that happens through the community.
Yeah, it goes
I know the garden club does a
The
lot.
community, we don't have any issues with them, so say,
Oh.
scratch that one.
Yeah,
Okay.
garden club and, because we do the shoreline cleanups in the spring. On the river.
The EDC, this was something tasked to the EDC, which was marketing. And I didn't know how to say it back then, but it was marketing of the good of the town and who are we, which they've done with the signs. I think that's ongoing. I think they're doing a good job of that.
Yeah, they're active and engaged.
Yes. Another one, communications with residents is ongoing. I'm always open, I think you guys are too, of trying to figure out a better way to do it. Is there a better way to do it? How do we rope people in aside from when they show up at a meeting? Scaring them and saying, come be a part of the budget committee. Planning, this was assist with business information. I think we do this on a daily basis. I don't know that it necessarily has to be on here, but it's up to you guys if you want to keep it on here.
Isn't that something the EDC is also doing?
It is. I think though this was they wanted us somehow to be linking the website and everything to businesses. My problem is that becomes a full-time job. We have the WBA website that we link to. I just don't want to keep up to having to link our website to businesses and when one leaves or starts, and then our information is bad, so.
I'd rather have what's happening now with the WBA or with people going to the E EDC.
Fire department recruitment and retention is ongoing. The downtown plan implementation. Technically, Kate, is that completed now with the downtown plan?
Well, the downtown plan is ongoing because we are implementing it, but it has been approved. So
Okay.
the planning is done. It's just now the actually realization of the
action.
Okay.
Planning also had, there was discussion, this has been on here since the beginning. Historic district, creating a historic district in town. Like a designated historic district, much like Wiscasset has,
You already have that, don't we? Don't we have our?
National Register, no,
Oh,
We have a historic zone.
yes. But this would be like, they have the prettiest little
Oh,
building,
yeah.
National Register, that's been on there since I got here. I'm not sure if that's something we want to pursue or leave that under downtown plan implementation. We can
Combine
do
the
that.
two.
Update Quarry Hill easements and improvements, that's ongoing. You will be seeing those shortly,
Almost done.
almost done. Town forest maintenance, the woody adelgid, that is current and ongoing. We're going to have to watch for those woolly adelgids. The booster station for the water is ongoing. We just accepted a check yesterday in the amount of $150,000 for a grant, which I'm sure Kate will mention.
And we met with CMP, so.
And they met with CMP yesterday. And that's to extend three-phase power to the new pump station that will be on School Street, and that would also serve VOA.
That's a milestone.
It's kind of
Yeah.
really cool thing. The next one, I can't say the name out loud, but it was a former manufacturing plant located on Friendship. Create a master plan. I think that's ongoing, and that could now become the Madomic River Community Park. And we have updated the TIF, so I think we could take that off. And then I would ask for, if you guys have any additions and fun things,
get rid of the Hofstas house.
right? So that's, do you want that separate or in
You
there?
know, that's part of the community part.
Okay.
but You gotta work on getting
Okay,
that grant to get that remediated and so we can.
okay. We'll get rid of the Hofstas house.
I mean, a lot of that list is since I've been on here, so got a lot of work done.
If you saw what the list was when we started, it was like 3 of
Oh,
these
yeah.
long, and now it's 1 page. One side. Not that it can't be other things that we want to do.
Anyone want to add to it?
I think it's been pretty comprehensive. So
I want to eradicate poverty and addiction.
all right, write those down.
Yeah, but one of those, you might get the other one.
Yeah.
That's how I feel,
Yeah.
but I just think that that needs to be somewhere in our priority, that if there's a way to combat poverty and addiction, we should. I just think that says a lot about. I think we do that in so many ways through so many of our programs.
Navigator helps with that and.
Right, but just what we do in general helps, so. Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
10.3 land use ordinance update. I think this would be Kate.
Big shout out to Kate and the planning board and Mark, who had many meetings and went over this thoroughly.
Yeah.
I sat
Um,
in on 2 of them. I can tell you, I was like, okay, you guys did a lot of work.
You should have gotten a land use ordinance changes summary in your packets. Most of the changes we made were small, little wording changes. In Article 2, we changed CEO to planner because the roles had been updated. The biggest changes that happened were adding an accessory retail designation instead of having just retail, which is not allowed in rural zones. Because of some situations that were coming up before the planning board, they created an accessory retail designation, which is small, not home-based businesses, which are allowed, but a business in your garage. It's less than 1,000 square feet, I think. Well, 1,200. Small retail allowed in the rural zone. So not a big retail shop, but someone who wants to have a business in their garage would now be allowed. So that's, yeah. So that's kind of the biggest change that happened. Again, there was some in Article 9, there was some aligning with new laws, LD 427. We had to add a line about requiring 2 spaces or 1 space per dwelling unit within the downtown area. And that was mandated by law for 427. And then Article 10, there was quite a lot of work that happened in Article 10. Most of it was around updating the wireless telecommunications facilities, adding some, they opted not to change the 300 feet from Route 1 requirement, but they did change some of the setback requirements. Updates made to the surety guarantee language to make sure that there's money if the tower needs to be torn down. New setbacks from wetlands, preserves, and other vital habitats, and then increased landscaping requirements for towers. So just based on current experience, they made some updates to the language there.
But they did not move the zone.
No, they didn't move the zone. And then we clarified rear lot. What is a rear lot? Because it was a little bit murky, and added a flag lot. So flag lot is you have not enough frontage and a little piece that comes back to a lot that's in back of another piece of property. So we borrowed from Rockland what they have in their language and added flag lot because we actually have quite a few of them in town and no way to deal if somebody wanted to build on them. And then clarified that a rear lot has no road frontage to it. Because that wasn't clear before. And then in subdivision plans, we just made the provision that something should happen with the plans within 2 years of them being approved. Because right now you could get a subdivision plan approved and do nothing with it for 10 years and then come back and register it with the deeds office, and all of a sudden, oh, what's this? It did get planning board approval. So we just wanted to kind of put that boundary in that time limit that they had to do something within 2 years. And then Article 15, we updated all the definitions for the accessory retail, farm stand, flag lot, rear lot, all the things that we added. So, yes.
Article 6, does that have any adverse effect on home occupation?
No.
So I know, I believe home occupation, because I was part of that. I was on the planning board when that was written. And we boosted it up to 2,500 square feet. And a certain amount of people could work there. So this does not have any adverse effect on it. Okay.
No, it's, if something doesn't quite fall into home occupation, then there's a thing they can, you know, if it's not an occupation where you go, oh yeah, that's absolutely something you would do in your home. This allows them to do it, but wouldn't allow like a big box store to come into the rural zone.
No, where Mark said it was what, 1,200 square feet. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, no, it doesn't touch anything with the home occupation. That's still as it was.
One of the things that I do think you should consider, and it's not in the ordinance, but I think we have to seriously look at establishing some planning board fees. For review time, if we need to have an outside entity come in, that an escrow should be set up so that if we need an attorney to review an application or an engineer to review an application, that the taxpayers aren't paying for that, that the applicant is paying for that. And that's something you could set up through the fee structure. But that became apparent.
This would occur before building permits.
This would occur before going to the planning board even.
For some complex applications,
Right.
the planning board has kept saying, well, we don't know what we don't know. And we have to trust the applicant. And so there's been some, you know, desire to have someone who, you know, an engineer or someone just review what's been submitted and say, oh yeah, that
Or an
is,
attorney.
or an attorney.
Question, but it's not fair for the taxpayers to have to put that bill when it really should be, you know, the applicant that should put that bill. You know, when you're getting into major subdivisions like we're potentially going to see, or cell towers or things like that, it really should, if we need an expert, it should fall on the applicant to cover those costs, so it's not costing the rest of the taxpayers in our community.
I like the idea of shielding the residents from that.
My only concern is we can't use that as a crutch to always say, oh, we want to have an engineer come in and look at it.
Well, no, but I think you'd have to have some guardrails for it,
Yeah.
but it's not fair if somebody is coming in and doing a major subdivision, like to then say, well, we want a runoff analysis of this, or we want to know, can this even be done? Attorneys are expensive, so are engineers. It shouldn't, I mean, at least there's a lot of places that you put money in escrow. You may never use it and you get that escrow back, but it's something to consider. It doesn't impact this, but I just wanted to put that out there while we were talking about it.
I would caution us to consider the balance of that.
You have-
Because, we don't want to prohibit growth necessarily, and if costs are prohibitive here but not elsewhere, then, a needed resource might go to a different town because we're prohibiting development here. I mean, I think there needs to be a
There
balance.
needs to
that's
be a
all.
balance for sure.
I think we need a work group.
It's a much larger conversation. but I
Yeah,
wanted you
We need a
to-
work group. We need to see what our
Yeah, yeah.
neighbors are doing. We need to see
Right,
what
right, yeah,
successful setups are.
Right,
I also want to flag that we did not make any changes for LD 1829, which was passed into law. And part of the reason for that is that there is a current LD 27 something as a fixed bill, which if it passes, changes almost every aspect of LD 1829.
1829, refresh my memory.
1829 is accessory dwelling units. And
Six on my own.
And so we made a conscious decision not to address that here and wait to see what the fixed bill does and or if that even passes before we address that. So if you hear about, and that's most of the municipalities around us are not doing anything at the moment to see where that is. So I just wanted to flag that that will be coming. If the current LD passes, we would need to do something I think by November.
Yeah, that's,
Um,
is that in this session? Evan?
Yeah,
I was looking it up right now if it's on tomorrow's calendar or not.
it's, I forget the LD number, but it's the accessory dwelling unit. 2713, maybe?
Oh, it's the 25th, right?
They don't have to take any action on this tonight? Or they
No.
do?
But we have to.
They have to,
Prove it to go into the
Which will be at your April
April-
7th meeting.
we just wanted to bring it
Yeah.
before you, the planning board had a workshop a couple weeks ago, but still hasn't voted. They're gonna vote on this on the 6th
Okay.
at a public hearing to approve it. I mean, they are going to approve this because we've worked very hard in many, many sessions to make sure that they would. But we hadn't noticed the meeting. It was just a workshop, not a public hearing. So they're gonna vote on this on the 6th, so it will be approved when it comes before you as a warrant article.
Is there anything unique about the changes to Article 10 compared to other towns? And what I mean by unique is everyone's probably aware the whole cellular tower thing is a little bit heated, at least in certain areas. My only concern is that I don't want to have anything in there that someone trying to build a tower or going against a tower would think was focused on preventing or pushing them through.
We based most of the changes on the mains model
Perfect.
wireless ordinance. And there was one sentence, one provision that we did talk to MMA about.
Okay,
For whether or not it would be seen as being obstructionist.
great. I figured
so-
you guys were pretty fair, but I feel better asking out loud.
And they didn't change the zone, so.
Yep.
2173.
2173, thank you.
Is that what it was?
That's what I.
2173?
That's what you're going on.
Yeah.
I don't know when it's happening, but
I was just looking at the calendar. There's only two divided reports tomorrow, so,
2173.
and then it's not on there. Was it a divided report that you know?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's not on tomorrow's calendar, so. There's only two divided reports.
Any other questions
Questions?
for me? Awesome.
Looks like Mike had a
Good night,
question.
Kate.
All right.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
Got fog in the throat.
No, the small frog.
Next, the 10.4 tax acquired property, that's gonna be our tax collector.
Team. Coming on up.
Okay. I have a few items for you folks tonight. I think the first one is probably in your packet. It's the section 906 order that allows us to apply payments to the oldest tax. The heading on it is Order of Municipal Officers. Maine Municipal recommends that we have you sign a new order every time there's a change in either the tax collector or the treasurer. Because the people in those positions sign off on the order too. So that's something that should be done. If you don't want to take action on that tonight, it isn't necessary, but it should be done at some point in the near future.
Looking for it.
We got quick claim deeds.
Yes, the Kyle.
Doesn't matter, go ahead and find them.
Yeah, after that.
Wow. In big letters, tax acquired property policy?
No, it's order of.
After that, it's
Oh.
order of municipal officers, right after that packet.
Oh, yep. What's that page say?
Yeah. there you go.
Really a formality. It's something that most municipalities in the state would do as part of their normal practice. This state law requires that the municipal officers sign off on it.
Is that in our package we signed tonight? Peg? I mean, Pam?
Yes.
Any questions for, on this topic? Okay.
Yes,
And then we talked about something else.
I have a few items here. The next ones are, I have a couple of proposed warrant articles. The first one is in your packet. And it reads, shall the town vote to authorize the tax collector to accept prepayment of taxes for the 2027 tax year? The amount collected not to exceed the previous year's taxes with no interest payable on any prepayment. This is an article that I would recommend appear in on our warrant every year. It's something that we need to do every year if we want to accept prepayments. It's good practice. It helps the finance department. Right now, if somebody sends a payment that's $2 over the amount due, Peg is really supposed to cut them a check and send them balance back. That's really an unnecessary practice. So this would allow us to apply prepayments in any amount without paying interest.
And if someone wanted to say they're going away, but they know the August payment's coming,
Yes,
they could prepay that. Say they're going in July before our tax bills go out, they could prepay.
mhm.
Makes sense.
Mhm.
Is this a continuation? Is it a lot of time?
Yes,
or a
it
lot of
happens
money.
quite often.
Yeah.
And when we send checks back to people, like if it's significantly over the amount to apply, it just gets very awkward. You know, sometimes it takes a while for somebody to send another payment in the correct amount. It's just, I think, an unnecessary thing not to allow prepayments.
More accounting issues with this?
It actually makes life easier.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier.
Okay.
Because our software program just applies it to the next tax year. We can open up a brand new tax year and, you know, everything is right there. So we don't have to, there's no guesstimating.
It's generally accepted practices and it's generally done. It's just hadn't been done for a very, very, very long time.
Do we need a motion? Or
It's a warrant article.
It'll be on
It'll
our,
be on your warrant.
on our warrant approval in April.
Okay.
We'll see that, we'll see this again, yes.
All right, and I have a second one for consideration. If I can find where I put it. So this one was not in your packet. So you pass that around, thank you.
Take one down, but-
Yes, sir, ma'am.
We have an existing warrant article that addresses tax acquired property. It's basically about the disposition of tax acquired property and what the select board can do. Because the law changed in 2023 or whenever it shifted, it no longer complies with state law.
Okay.
So I have a proposed warrant article that will fix that. Shall the town vote to authorize the select board to dispose of tax acquired property as they deem in the best interests of the town, except that the select board shall first use the sales process in 36 MRS 943C if they choose to sell property to anyone other than the former owner. For sales to someone other than the former owner, excess sale proceeds as defined in 36 MRS 943C shall be returned to the former owner. And that language complies with what is required currently of state law. And now we will get to tax acquired property. The top section with the heading automatic foreclosure for 2026. These are 3 of the parcels that are coming up for automatic foreclosure. I selected these 3 because I think that we should really have a conversation about trailers on leased land first before we delve into the other properties. For these ones, I'm recommending that you waive foreclosure. The correct motion would be to allow the treasurer to waive foreclosure on these 3 parcels. First one is a camper on leased land, currently unoccupied. $7,000 valuation. The other 2 are at Lady Slipper. And just as a side note, if you look at the values, if we can encourage these people, actually work with the park owner to get them to sign a homestead, they would not have any taxes in the future. As long as we're at or near 100% valuation. I think we really need to do that. It's a liability for the town to own trailers in a park. And if you look at the bottom section, the lots that we acquired last year, and when I say tax acquired, this actually means that the town owns these trailers right now. They're occupied, but we own them. If they become unoccupied, we're getting insurance on them. And we owe any lot rent or any other expenses that are involved in having a trailer in the park. What you might consider for these parcels is to simply convey them back to the last known property owner and then write off the taxes. You might consider that. I think it would actually be in our best interest. And then, as I said earlier, have them sign a homestead exemption and start from scratch.
How would we go about doing that? Do we have Daryl talk to them?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
code
can work with,
enforcement.
Daryl and we can
Code
follow
enforcement?
up any way that you wish. But I really think that the town needs to act on these.
Yeah.
As soon as possible.
On the liability.
And we can go to the trailer park and, with the homestead exemptions and say, sign here. And I don't think anybody would object. But as far as getting them to come into the office to do it, they're not going to do it.
And that's why I asked the process of trying to get them to
Yeah.
do that.
Well, they understand
Who be in
what
charge?
it mean.
Right.
I'm unfamiliar with the way homesteads work. I thought that you had to have a parcel of land included. We're just homesteading the vehicle?
Yes,
The trailers.
The trailer.
yes.
Mobile home.
Oh,
That's
legal
their
to do-
dwelling,
Yeah.
yeah. So any dwelling is included. So,
That's
yeah,
interesting.
Hmm.
That's interesting. And then we would get homestead exemption tax back from the state.
You wanna do this?
Yes, we would.
No.
Instead of not getting a payment, we would actually get
Exactly.
money from the state back.
Exactly.
with
I
homestead
think it's a win-win.
Oh,
You know,
100%.
when Julie talks about poverty, you know, this is where poverty happens
Yeah, that's what this looks like, yeah.
for various reasons.
We can look at it as keeping people in their homes.
Yeah, I don't wanna take someone's trailer, my gosh.
And actually, in the top portion, the camper on the leased land, I talked to Daryl about abating that. And if you're in agreement, then we can just go ahead and abate that particular one.
Well, that's not a
for
mobile
3
home,
years.
that's an actual camper.
Yes.
If someone's living in,
It's on.
No, it's unoccupied right now. And the owner of the property has no interest. I spoke with her. So she's like, I would rather you just haul it out of here. But I don't think we want to do that
Sounds like
either.
a great deal for them.
Get rid of their problem for them.
well, I'd make a motion to abate that one.
I'll second it.
One made and second to abate.
You have to be acting as assessed board of assessors.
Maybe we got, yeah, probably
Yeah,
gotta do
we
it.
gotta-
Oh, I can't do
You can't
it.
do that.
We have to do this in Ladero. then.
Yeah.
Then I take my motion back.
And took it from you, you gave it back.
But you can waive foreclosure on the
Yeah.
top
Actually,
three, all of them. And then we can abate it later.
I'll make the motion
Well,
to,
I think it's still Board of Assessors still has to do that.
not to, not
No.
to waive the
No?
foreclosure.
Not the
Okay.
way the foreclosure
Okay.
is select.
Okay. I probably still can't.
No, you can, I think.
Can I?
You can, yes.
Sure.
It's not assessment, it's not
Okay.
under that.
I'll make the motion to waive those top three.
Second,
Discussion? All in favor?
All right, great.
And you
Just
need a
with one
motion
question.
for them to do something with the next four.
Do we do the same thing with those three on top or two on top is what you're recommending down? the
Well,
bottom?
all three on top have just been, foreclosure has been waived, so that satisfies what we need right now. We won't be acquiring them on April 2nd. And that's really what I was after.
But you
But we
also
still
talked about,
need to get a homestead on.
that's
Yes.
where I was going with that.
And that's where I will get with Daryl and we'll figure something out.
Okay.
And the bottom ones, you can address at another time if you wish. Because we already own those.
But probably I'll take care of it tonight.
So you would just deed it back to them.
Yeah,
You can authorize her to do that. Yeah.
I'll make that motion. To deed back the 4 properties on the list that we actually own right now back to the owners. And have the tax, the
written off.
tax written off, but and have the tax assessor meet with them to,
Homestead.
for the homestead. And have them sign the paper.
Do we want that conditional upon getting a homestead exemption?
Yeah, well, we already own them, so.
Yeah, we already own them. So
Yeah,
I need them back.
and that would be presented to them and I don't know these people, so I'm not assuming
think if
what they
you-
do or don't.
I
know.
think if somebody showed up and says, we'll deed your house back to you, even though the town owns it, if you sign this.
And make sure they know what the signing thing does for them, you know,
Mhm.
small words, all that, that's what I want.
yeah. My goal would be to get it done by April 1st,
Okay,
Well,
so.
I made the motion.
second,
You get that, Pam? Motion made and second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
All right, that is all I had tonight. Do you have an idea of how you would like to address the rest of the properties that the town currently owns? They're various, some is land only,
there are lists.
fewer dwelling,
We should have a list of what they
Yeah,
have.
you'll give a list to us.
yeah.
So is automatic foreclosure coming for them?
I'm talking about the ones we already own.
I also have a question for Christine. How does this work? I'm trying to read through it and I'm like,
Yeah,
like Chinese to me.
yeah, and you know, I was reading through that. I'm actually not that familiar with the policy that was adopted. And when I was reading through it today, I noticed that there are some errors and some faulty statute references. So if you would like, I can amend it and bring it back to you,
Absolutely.
because this is dysfunctional right now.
That's why I said, it's like
Yeah.
Chinese to me.
Oh, yeah,
So-
make that function.
And that's another reason why I just want to deal with the trailers right now.
Mhm.
Because if we're supposed to be complying with this current policy, I don't think you can do it effectively.
Yep.
So I can,
So can you provide them with a list of what we currently own and then a list of what would be coming up
Coming up.
on?
coming up, or do you want me to wait until April 2nd
I'd wait till
and see
after.
what we actually acquire?
Yeah, April after April 2nd.
Okay,
But probably on the next meeting, maybe, the next meeting.
But you get to it before, after April 2nd, then we have time to.
Which would be the 7th,
It's gonna be the 7th.
So- for the first April meeting.
can do. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wrong. Well, I'm gonna move on to 10.5 and then we'll. I'd like to. Pump him back.
Okay, that's fine.
Kyle's been waiting to.
Yep.
10.5 will be real quick. Engine 5 discussion. Some people don't realize we have a fire engine 5 out there.
Hmm.
It's our 1953 Jeep. It sits in the back and we've had some discussions, actually, the last, the budget meeting when the fire chief was in here. And what to do with that thing has been sitting in the fire bay for years and years and years and not used. I can remember using it back in the, I don't know, 98, 90, no, it wasn't 98, 2005, 6 was the last time it was parked.
It's got a 2013 sticker on it. So
Whatever that means.
Wow.
the last time it was
Yeah.
used.
And this is a piece of equipment, like I said, it's 1953. It's a Korean vintage Jeep that was converted and they put tankers on it and it was overweight and it's got tires on it that aren't legal for the road, safe for the road, can't get insurance for it. So I would like to make a motion to transfer the ownership of that piece of equipment to the Waldeboro Fire Association. They have some plans they could do to do some work to it. Let me talk about that. One of the conversations was to work with the, what do they call it now? Midcoast School of Technology, MCT, have them take it over. They work on it for nothing, for free. The only thing the association would have to pay for is parts. It had nothing to do with the town, because once they have ownership, they're responsible. Plus, it gets it out of our building, so we have more room.
I like everything about that.
Is that your motion?
That's my motion to transfer the ownership of that piece of equipment to get it relocated out of the building.
I'll second it.
Discussion on that? All in favor? Now they get a Jeep. Now just moving on to old business real quick. I know that that Kyle's been waiting here, talked about 11.1, the hazard mitigation plan. He spoke to us last meeting about it. We received an email with a 600-page document.
It's great.
Everyone get a chance to read it?
I did. Got right on it.
I made a
Mike
robot.
actually did.
Mike's got time on his hands.
So with that said, any questions on that?
It was a remarkably thorough document, remarkable. It's a lot of work that went on. It was done by, a lot of work by the Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission as well as Lincoln County EMA and some hired people that put that together. It's very, a lot. Professional. It's a lot. So it's just, it has our little piece in there that, that we worked with. I talked to John and talked to Will and about the projects that we identified in there that either have, either upcoming or things that have been on the list for many years and. Should funding ever become available and something that, you know, at least from the federal level, they'll look at that document and go, oh, yeah, that's approved for that, yeah. So,
Make the motion to approve and sign the resolution in the Lincoln County Hazard Mitigation Plan for 2026 update.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? We'll sign it all off and you get done with the
sign
meeting.
it off, I'll wait for your signature.
Okay.
That way I can get it to Emily and she'll rest.
Well, if you're waiting for us right now, I got it right here. Anything you gotta put on it, Pam?
I have to look at it again.
Okay.
It's been my stash.
You can do it, you only got one more thing, man.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it's over there.
Oh, it's right on top.
Yeah, let's jump ahead, jump back, go in reverse order to Lions Club presentation. Danny Vanner.
You need to. So.
Oh.
You gotta get out of your seat.
You gotta copy your seat so I can take a picture. I know, well,
What's he giving me?
I'm giving you a check, exciting check.
What's it for?
Yeah, what's it for?
I'll tell you in just a second.
This guy knows how to work.
I have had too many bad photos this year. I am not photogenic at all, so I try my best. The Lions Club 2 weeks ago now, I believe, just about, held a luncheon over at the Safe Harbor Church. We are very grateful to them for letting us use their space. And we had did a fundraiser for the local Heating Fuel Assistance Fund as part of the, is it in part of General Assistance Fund?
it's the emergency fund.
The emergency fund, yes. And we had such a turnout. We are so moved by the people of this town that came out. It's the first year doing it. We raised $4,550. And we still have a few checks coming in that will get to the town eventually, but yeah, so
That was wonderful.
thank you. Thank you for being here and providing that service, and we're glad to help out when we can, and thank you.
Thank you so much.
The lentil soup was delicious.
Next we'll jump down to
The recipe book.
11.2,
Salad as well.
the AI policy, which we discussed.
I made the changes that were suggested. And I put it in our format.
Was it Ruben certified?
Was Ruben certified?
And John R in there for you if you want.
I even used the new signs.
I noticed that.
Other than the logos and the things, is it pretty much identical to the
That's pretty
past?
much identical to the one,
Okay.
except for the one change that was made, we added town manager and the computer.
Right, so an IT vendor can't,
IT vendor can't do anything alone. They have to have the town manager's
Mhm.
approval.
You ready for a motion? Is that what you're looking at me for? I make a motion to approve the AI policy. For the
Second.
town, for the town.
Move and second for the artificial intelligence acceptable use policy, which will be approved by the town, not on 51. More discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Items for the next meeting.
We've got the tax collectors list.
closure list. And tax. And acquired property list.
Helps. We need to-
I will-
I'm sure something.
I'm sure something will come up, but I will let you know, I will not be at the next meeting,
So the next- yeah.
and I won't even be here virtually. You wanna tune in, you,
We kind of want that.
you can call, you don't know what you're gonna get.
That's half the fun.
It could be a lot of fun, it could be,
I got it in somewhere, the date,
it's August
That's-
7th, I mean, April 7th.
August.
April 7th is
yeah.
our next meeting. And that's off because of the date that we need to handle the warrant. So I'm assuming that first week of April, you don't want a meeting the next week. You're gonna skip the 14th. The 14th,
Yeah, you know, we'll do jump right to the 28th.
right? Is that okay?
Sure.
Public hearing, if it's May 12.
Right. The public hearing for the warrants, May 12th.
So it gives us plenty of time.
Gives us time. But the drop, well.
Well, you need April 7th, you need to
yes,
have
'cause I
the
have to
warrant
push that
set.
magic button on April 9th.
Yep. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Been made second to adjourn this meeting. All in favor? Thank you.